Everyone, and welcome to another series for my channel. Basically, I'm calling this, Brad the DM, essentially. For those of you who follow the D&D vlog series, the Emerald Vanguard, I talked about at different points. I kind of want a DM. I have an interest in it. I've played a few role-playing games, Worlds of Darkness, Vampire the Masquerade, D&D, obviously. I think I dabbled in Pathfinder once or twice with a couple of my buddies, I forget. And I've been doing my research. I got the Player's Handbook, the Monster Manual, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and several other important books for Dungeons and Dragons stuff. Because I just love absorbing all of that knowledge, and well, I'm going to try and make a go of it. As of currently, some of my friends have shown interest in it whenever I talked about it some months ago. Obviously, it's been months since I've done anything because I'm an adult, I'm in my 30s, life's crazy, so I can't coordinate everything as easily, especially with the people who have an interest being so spread out. Like, it's not just, hey, you're 5 minutes away, we can, set up, oh, hey, Saturday, let's get together, let's do D&D stuff. No, it's more challenging than that. But, like I said, this is an introduction. This video is probably going to split up into a couple of quick parts. This introductory part, establishing my credentials as a DM. The second part will basically be establishing, the rules I'm going to try and follow, that I've picked up from watching, outside Xbox's, the X Ventures Guild, as well as Dicebreaker's Dungeon Breaker, and a little bit of Critical Role. I gotta try watching that again. I saw some of the first episode. Everybody's cool and good, but it didn't click with me as much because I don't know what it was. Outside Xbox, I watched a lot of their videos because they do a lot of video game videos, and so I got used to the main cast. Andy, Luke, Jane, Mike, Ellen. I feel like I'm missing somebody, but whatever. But yeah. So that worked for me. So same with Dungeon Breaker, Dicebreaker. Everybody just, I liked them. I had some familiarity with them. It worked out. So yeah. So that's what got my interest in it. And then obviously playing the game with Connor and everyone. Going on 1 to 2 years ago now. I forget when it was. And the game kind of ended. But yeah. Also, I'm just a writer too. I come up with, different story ideas. I've been working on, honestly, my multi-part story for my, avatar character, Darb, the half-orc bard, who's also going to be a party member for my D&D trial run campaign. Basically, because I'm a first-time DM, I want to make sure these things are kind of good, decent, and balanced for for an average group of characters. So yeah. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to try and upload those videos here to YouTube, so that I can get used to, running those rules, even though I'm going to be playing the game myself. So I'll be the DM who knows what the heck is supposed to happen, but I'm also going to be the characters who are how do we get from A to Z? Oh my gosh, it's going to be an interesting experience. But before we get to that, we have a few things to go over. So I'd call that an introduction. Basically, I've played some D&D before. I've watched a lot of D&D videos. I'm listening to the X Ventures Guild D&D podcast, because basically it's literally just Jane hosting the show and talking about the different adventures, with some little bits of behind the scenes stuff with the rest of the party, behind the scenes stuff, and just some extra little bits of fun. Just what were you thinking in that scenario? Come on now, I don't know. And yeah, so I have an interest. I'm gonna try and do this. This is my trial run stuff, and yeah, with all of that out of the way, let's move on to Brad's general rules for the campaign. So, general rules. Alright, I'm going to lean in for this one because it's on my screen, and leaning back I can't read. And if I wear my glasses, there's going to be too much glare. So these are just my general DMing, campaigning, whatevering rules. So everybody knows, in case there are people who are like, hey Brad, I really like what you're doing after I do my first couple of hopefully introductory adventures. I have some ideas, I just got to run through them and actually figure out what's going to happen. So, rule number 1. Hopefully I'm going to put the text somewhere on the screen for reference as well. These rules are fluid and subject to tweaking. And to be clear, I'm going to be borrowing ideas from previous games I've played. I'm going to be borrowing from previous games I've played and things that I've seen, like the Axe Ventures Guild that I've seen, Dungeon Breaker, and all that, just for reference. I'm presuming it's a common thing with DMs, like, hey, I liked how this DM did this in my game, so I'm gonna, use this idea, maybe tweak it a bit. So, yeah, don't be mean to me for borrowing ideas, and if I do anything too blatant, it's out of respect. It's paying homage. I'm not being a jerk. I'm sorry. Rule 1-1. Let's be honest here. This is my first ever game based on limited experience. So I'm going to be super nice with my rules to start. Okay? I want everyone to get comfortable with the game and have fun so we can fudge some details, some rulings, some etceteras. This is, just a fun casual thing for my friends who are now, all currently in their 30s. They have their lives and their jobs and their yada yadas. So rather than being super anal about, oh man, you have so many arrows and, so many different things, hey, we're just going to have fun with it. We're just going to screw around, do whatever crazy stuff, because honestly, in the role-playing games that I've taken part in, that was basically what we did. We made crap up, we messed around. Chris, Paul, Matt's Team Blunt Trauma is all I'm going to say. But yeah, so there's that. Rule 1-1-1, the third subsection for this, apparently, spell slots are non-negotiable. You have yours, and anything used in battle will take a slot. Outside of combat, I'll be nice in the beginning. But after a point, I will make this totally clear, you'll need to be more cautious with them. So, cure wounds or whatever, you use that in battle, it's going to take a slot. Outside of battle, oh hey, as long as there's a decent amount of time where, you could in theory get a short rest, between this fight and the next. Let's say you guys were in a fight, you couldn't heal during the combat. After combat, your cleric friend just goes around oh, bless you, healed, and you're setting up camp for the night. In theory, you might get attacked in the night by an ambush. But, oh hey, it could be 4 hours into the night or so. So that could technically be a short rest at worst, so you can recover some spell slots or whatever. That's the logic I'm going with. If you're, running through the castle and fighting, different groups of bad guys, yeah, you're not really stopping for a very short break. I'm not going to have, insane, oh, you got to fight, 10 different groups, in a thing. It'll probably just be, a couple fights, and then, oh, hey, the big boss, depending on difficulty and such. But that's in the campaign. This is general stuff. 1-1-2. I'm not going to hammer anyone about spell materials. I know some spells require gems and such, and that's fine, as long as we don't abuse the spells. So, yeah, anyone who's looked at the spells, obviously you have different requirements. God, I don't know the specifics. But I know, some of the teleportation things, you need, expensive things, for sure. Gems, diamonds, etc. As long as we're not, abusing things, I'm not going to be as, anal about, oh, hey, you have to have, 1 diamond, whatever the heck else for, teleportation or doorway or gateway or whatever. Because, yes, it's good and immersive, but that also adds the challenge of I have to balance the loot system, which I will get to hopefully at some point in this. But anyway, moving forward, which actually I do. 113. Same thing with money. I'll try to figure rewards and such, and I do have a merchant in mind, though I may just give out stuff as quest rewards or plot convenient moments. You know, oh, you fulfilled my request. Here's a cool sword. Or perhaps this will aid you. You know, the kindness of strangers for the dude who just saved you from a group of bandits or trolls or monsters or whatever. You know, it's weird that the guy didn't use the big cool sword to stop him himself, but hey, whatever. I want to get through these quick because, you know, if I go 30 minutes then my camera turns off and I'm really annoyed by that. So anyway, moving on to rule number 2. I'm going to play on the honor system. You tell me you have X number of, you know, X number of Y level spells. I'm going to trust you on that. Because if I know too much about the party and their spells, I may try to play too much into or too much against their strengths. You know, this is my world, but it's your story. I throw out the ideas and scenarios for you to face, and you conquer them. You know, or, yeah, you'll conquer them. I'm going to be nice. One thing that 2-1. One thing that really helped me out was using D&D Beyond. You can create your character, see your equipment, all that. It's just so helpful for working with your character. I'm going to use it for anything that I use. Just saying. It's a really great resource, trust me. Like, check it out, dndbeyond.com. Free to use. If you want to do more advanced stuff, you're going to have to pay for it, but hey. Basic stuff is free. You can make like 6 characters. You can set up their stuff. It's awesome. 2-2. If you bring up a mechanic I'm not familiar with, please feel free to catch me up on it or direct me where to find information about it. I'm trusting you, and if it's cool, maybe I can tweak it for something later. I don't know, like the different races, you know, the Warforged, the Turtles, the Tabaxi, other things. Yeah, I've got, like I said, the 3 main books: Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, Dungeon Master's Guide, but I've also picked up couple of things. Eberron Rising, The Last War. I have them over there. I can kind of see them. It's hard to read. But I've got a few side books as well. So yeah. So I may know of a few things, but you may know a lot more. I'm a noob, and I want to be playing with more veteran players. Just saying. Rule 3. I'm open to ideas. You have an adventure idea you want to run, let me know. I'll let you take over for a session or 2 and have fun with it. Or if you want some character-specific adventures, I can work on something, you know, oh, your parents want you back, or your arch-rivals returned, etc. Like, you know, this is going to be an open, probably episodic thing. Like, oh, hey, nothing's really linked, but, you know, like, if we want a cool, big scenario, I do have a couple season finale things in mind. And, you know, I'll establish those at the end if I have time. Moving forward, though, rule number 4. I'll ask you to play nice. You know, please don't attack the merchants or guards. You know, the other NPCs are fair game. You know, I mean, if you want to rough up the quest giver, I can't stop that necessarily. It's on me to build a world around your choices. I'm just asking you to make my life easier. I'm asking you to make my life easier. There are bad guys to fight, or I can make random jerks to beat up. Also, I may have some inconsistencies. Please be nice about those too. You know, say it wasn't the Elf City farther away last time. Didn't you sell an axe at a lower price before? Etc. And names are hard. I'm going to be stealing from the Player's Handbook all the time for those. So, you know, just shh. Okay? I bring up, you know, the not being critical thing because, again, Team Blunt Trauma, you guys were a bit critical at times of some of my things. I'm not going to get into details because it was really stupid and petty, but yeah. The one that does ring specifically in my mind is basically the character that I was playing, Vampire the Masquerade, you know, was like a military guy, and he had an assault rifle. So, you know, to roleplay the having a gun thing, you know, I was doing the classic, you know, couple fingers thing, you know, like if you have a pistol. And people were critical of that. That's not how you hold a rifle. I'm miming having a gun. You know, finger guns, okay? Come on, just work with me. Again, like I said, it's stupid and petty, But people complained about it at the game. Like, don't be that guy. Just let stuff slide. Almost done. 2 more rules. 4-1, you know, I'm making this up as I go. Please be kind and patient. I work a full-time job. I have personal responsibilities. And improv on this scale takes a bit of time. If I do get a group together, I don't know how consistently we're going to be playing this game. You know, I'm not going to say weekly because I would die. But, you know, we'll figure out a timetable. Because also, you know, I got to juggle several people's schedules, whatever. 5. You are a team, you level as a team. You know, if, let's say, you know, Mike misses a session, he'll get the experience like everyone else. You know, though I play based on milestones. So, like, you know, arbitrarily, I'll say, like, oh, hey, you guys level up after that fight. You know, maybe because it was a crazy challenge, or because, you know, it's been a while since you've leveled. I'm going to make it up as I go. So after I feel like, you know, you've earned another level, you'll get it. My idea, and I talked about this before, was, you know, like, each boss should take place at the multiples of, you know, 5. So, level 5, level 10, level 15, level 20, if we do the season finale bosses that I'm talking about. Expect a boss fight somewhere in that period of time. And then finally, rule number 6, the last rule that I have down here. Any of the relevant stuff we'll figure at the table, and I'll try to add those rulings here. You know, if the dice falls off the table, other random small detaily stuff. This is just a broad look at the rules that I'm working with right now. So yeah, those are the general rules for the game. You know, basically, it's my first time ever trying to do this stuff. Just be kind, be courteous, be patient. There's obviously going to be some fudging and tweaking, and that's 100% fine. That's basically it, I would say, for the most part. You know, and also, I'm trusting you guys. You know, we're here to have fun, play, you know, pretend, imagination, whatever. And I think we can do that. You know, if you want to join my game, or if you have a game that you'd like me to take part in, or whatever. And then, really quick, just because I talked about it already, you know, those season finale bosses, you know, if I do anything with that, basically, you know, in drafting my campaign, I came up with some cool season finale things. Unfortunately, I don't have anything that leads up to it, really. But basically, you know, the 4 bosses that I had in mind were, the first boss was going to be, you know, basically just a bandit lord, you know, like, who's bothering, you know, the city that you're in, ultimately. You know, basically, you know, just a nice, cool introductory thing of, oh, hey, you know, we took on some bad guys, we pissed him off, so now we gotta deal with this guy. The second boss, which is totally unrelated, is basically, you know, an orc war general. Basically, his armies come to siege the city, and, well, falls on you guys to take them on. I figure level 10, that's a good enough thing. The third boss, the Warlock Priestess. Basically, she has grand plans to sacrifice the entire city, you know, for her own ends, to please her god. Because, yeah, she's evil like that. And then, which, you know, be the level 15 boss, you know, basically facing an undead, you know, or scary army of some sort. And then the final level 20 boss, the sorcerer. Basically, you know, once you've hit like level 15 or so, your exploits have reached different people in the world, and, well, it's gotten some attention. Not all of it good. Specifically the sorcerer, who sees themselves as a god, and, well, is going to put you to the test. You know? Because, hey, you know, like, oh, everybody bows and scrapes to me, but you, I feel like you could stand up to my challenges. So, let's see how you do. So yeah, that was general rules, and just a general outline for the campaign. Give me a minute to pull up my characters so I can talk about them for my trial runs, and then we'll see what's going on from there. So, 1 second. Alright, everyone, so we've gone over, you know, my credentials for being a DM, my general rules for gameplay and such. And let's get to the final part. Basically, like I said, I am totally new to DMing, so I'm basically going to start running a trial campaign with, my own party of created characters. I have 4 characters. So basically my plan is to, at least run through these once with them to see if they can handle the situation. At the very least, I'm not totally wiping out the team on the first mission or a random side mission. The important missions, I will let fate decide what happens there. And I'm trying to establish, like, beforehand, like, hey, these are some serious fights. Like, in Connor's campaign, our first death was against one of the 4, like, main... For one of the 4 main bosses. I guess they'd be sub-bosses, because basically it was the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and then, the Black King above them. But, yeah. So, I'm not going to rule that out. However, I'm going to make sure that the cool barbarian or the, wizard isn't just torn apart by, I don't know, group of rats or bandits casually, like, so yeah. That's what this is about, establishing that so you guys get a feel for what I'm going to be working with, and also, like I said, I'll be recording whatever adventures that I come up with. And I'm not going to lie to you, most likely these are going to be like the bases for the adventures that I do play with other people, if I do get people interested and we can work out all the details for it. So, to start, everybody's going to be level 3 in this. I chose 3 arbitrarily because it is a good... It's a good point because everyone seems to be able to pick their subclass at the 3rd level. Bards get their different colleges. Barbarians get their different paths of powers. I don't know what the words are. But yeah. So 3 seems like a good level. Also, these are characters who are, have some experience and are just getting out into the world now. And like I will establish as I go through the character list, you'll be like, okay, that makes some sense. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let us establish Brad's trial party for Dungeons and Dragons campaigns. First off, we have an interesting character named Fang, a dragonborn barbarian. Now you might be like, wow, that's kind of playing into, his certain strengths and such, and hey, you're not wrong about it. I like the idea. I love Dragonborns, obviously. Basically, for those who don't know, Dragonborns are essentially humanoid dragons. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, what is his backstory? Basically, he was found in the mountains by orcs and raised among them. Having never known his... Oh, yeah, never mind. I forgot. I'm cutting some of this backstory. As a proud warrior, his dream is to be known as the Dragon Slayer, by defeating a dragon. He finds himself in the city of Aerithel seeking out any leads and information that he can about dragons and Dragonborn. Basically, he wants to obviously learn what he can about dragons, because he's not an idiot. Though he's an angry jerk who can shoot a cone of fire, so he's probably going to be, I think, a red dragon? I gotta double check my stuff, but yeah. So yeah, Fang, the barbarian dragonborn. Should be fun and interesting. And after, I go through everybody, I'll explain the decisions and choices. And really quick, the city of Aerithel is just the name of the hub city that I'm going to be working from. It's one that I came up with. I hope I didn't steal it from Tolkien or something. I don't know. But yeah, moving forward. Second, Darb, the half-orc bard. Now, really quick with that, a couple things that I just want to say. Darb definitely feels like one of my spirit characters. On the outside, I'm a half-orc, bard. Internally, I'm definitely like a gnome bard. Ever curious, reading up on all the stuff for D&D, and just, in general. And my love of music. So, yeah. And yes, really quick, Darb, the name, is an anagram, where you move the letters around and you get something new, of Brad as well as Bard. And also, whenever I told one of my other friends who's interested in D&D and has seen the X-Venturers' adventures, you know, he said, hey, that's just like Darb, their half-orc bard, played by Luke Westaway. You know, like, I just identify with him, okay? Like, there are several things. I could go into a whole big thing about it. I don't think you care about that right now. I want to get you invested in the character by showing them in action. So, yeah. Basically, he's a half-orc bard. What is he doing, though? What is his backstory? A farm boy looking to combat his own inner demons of rage, the mark of Grumsh, essentially. Darb set out to learn what he could of orc culture. You know, basically, it's kind of like the Superman story. You know, he was abandoned on a farm and raised by other people, you know, for one reason or another. I have that going in his backstory, and I might work that into this adventure. We'll see what happens. To learn what he could of orc culture and to find his missing mother who had to leave him in the care of farmers as she fled someone or something. Don't really establish what. I will establish that in his story that I'm writing. The only clue he has is the necklace he wears around his neck. On one side, an orc clan symbol. I don't know the symbol yet. I gotta make it up. And on the other, the word Darb, hence his name. And also, really quick, that's going to have some tie-in with Fang because he was raised by orcs. So, you know, that's going to come up at some point, and like, there's going to be some, I guess you could say, some clashing because, you know, Darb, who wasn't raised by orcs, is a bit different than the orcs that Fang is used to. So, there's some interesting intrigue there, hopefully. And basically he's School of Valor, so he's a fighting support character. So, like, you know, he's going to be on the front lines alongside Fang because I feel like a good balanced party is going to have, you know, like 1 to 2 fighters, a healer, and then like a mage or some other type of ranged character, which I will get into the last 2 right now. The last 2, also really quick, are going to be dwarves. The first character is Dadecker, a dwarf cleric. This character is based on, honest to God, my character from the MMORPG EverQuest. I made a dwarf cleric named Dadecker. That's it. But a dwarven cleric traveling in the company of Ash, the other character, which I will establish in a minute, to spread the good word of the goddess Baldre, the goddess of community and home. Putting that so you can see the words. Dadecker wanted protection in his travels and feels that Ash's capabilities with the Forge and her armor can help not only the dwarven communities, but those of other races as well. So, he's a healer. Domain of Life, I believe, is what I picked for him. Again, just because I wanted a healer in the party. But, you know, like the goddess of community and home, you know, he also believes in, you know, coming together, uniting people, and standing against, you know, evil and darkness, and etc., etc. So, like, he's going to be kind of the moral center, the moral ground of the group. You know, I don't have what he's really looking for in mind yet, besides, you know, just, hey, just trying to be a peacekeeper and do good things and protect people and fight corruption. You know, that's really it. So he's got a broad story, but also he's a bit older than the others. For sure, at least Darb and Ash. Like, they're going to be, you know, late teens, early 20s. Dadecker's probably about in his 40s. You know, like, he's a mature dwarf, you know, who spent time in the, you know, temples, learned what he can, and, you know, now he's on a pilgrimage just to spread the good word and such. Again, with Ash kind of protecting him, but also being under his observation, you know, because essentially a teenager or 20-something with, you know, their own mechanical stuff, it can be a bit dicey. But anyway, moving on to the final character, Ash, the dwarf artificer. A dwarf artificer who specializes in artillery, she wanted to take her knowledge into the world to see what new techniques and ideas she could gather from the other civilizations. Working as a guardian of Dadecker as well, so that she won't be wandering the world alone. You know, she was raised in the mines. You know, she's got a great aptitude for, you know, mechanics and science and such, but in terms of dealing with other people, she's probably not as good, so I hope I picked her charisma score to kind of reflect that. So, you know, she's the genius character who can, like, MacGyver a lot of stuff, but when it comes to peopling, maybe a bit lacking, and that's fine. You know, I get that. It makes sense. So she's going to be a ranged fighter for sure. I forget which subclass of artificers were the ones with cannons, but yeah, she's one of them basically. Because I had some story ideas for, you know, Darb's big story where, hey, she's part of this party. She's really passionate about, you know, like, making her stuff and, you know, things happen to her items, and yeah. So that's it. We have a Dragonborn Barbarian, a half-orc bard, a dwarf cleric, and a dwarf artificer. I could also potentially change Ash into a gnome just so we get that wider variety of characters. I don't know. I like dwarf for 2, and then, like, I don't know, we'll see what happens, but yeah. So that is essentially my party. Everybody's going to start at level 3. I'm going to do an introductory, you know, video for the next one, so stay tuned for that. That will hopefully be soon. I'm going to record that before I upload all of this, hopefully. And yeah, and like I said, you know, the next videos are basically just establishing I can DM, I can run through scenarios, I can run a bit of combat, I can run a bit of, you know, role-playing, interaction, etc. Although it's going to be a bit weird trying to do 4 different voices at the minimum, and then everyone else in the world. But like I said, you know, those things are to establish to you, the viewers, and my future potential players, as well as myself, hey, I can do this. I can make up something. I can make it flow. I can make it work. I'm not just going to bumble through this and then get screwed in like a week or 2. So yeah. So that was Brad the DM, an introduction. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you're interested. If you have any more questions about D&D, you know, hit me up. If you want to see, you know, character creation and such, definitely check out dndbeyond.com. It's awesome. It's great. I've used it so much. It's really helped me make characters. The other books, like the main books, the Player's Guide, the DM's Dungeons and Masters Guide, and the Monster Manual, I think they're $20 each now. I think physical hard copies. You can get them online, you know, obviously PDFs and such, and you can view them that way. I prefer having the actual books. Sorry. But yeah, that's about it. It's a fun game. I've also got the book for Pathfinder, but I got to read through that still before I even try to tackle that. But I also have a friend, Chris, who is also in a Pathfinder campaign. I can't remember if you're running it, Chris. You told me about it years ago. I forget. But yeah, so that's it. I think I've covered everything. Let's see how this goes. So until next time, everyone, have fun, stay safe, keep hydrated, and of course remember, every character has a story to tell. I'm Valiant Bradley James, I'm the character investigator, and hopefully I'm a future DM. Until next time, peace.